Come on, you're working. Yes. Yes. It is done. Wait. Ah, shoot.
And welcome to Ampersand's Ecologies. So, what are Goliaths? Goliaths are a medium-sized humanoid creature. However, they are exceptionally tall for their species. They are usually 7 to 8 feet tall. They are typically very muscular. They are usually living up in high mountain ranges, and their ability scores help show that ability. They are also typically covered in markings that usually they have some religious significance to them. They usually consider it they can usually say that it describes their personality, even though it doesn't actually have any true effects, from what I can tell. Now, Goliaths in 3rd edition, 3.5, gained 4 strength, lost 2 dexterity, and added 2 constitution to their rolls whenever they are generated. That means that they're going to be significantly stronger than your typical species. They're going to be a little bit more clumsy, but they are also going to be a lot more healthier. And they are considered a monstrous humanoid. That usually means that they gain proficiency in all simple weapons, but that doesn't count any armor or shields. That helps them with their tool making. It's going to help them defend themselves. They're not going to need a lot of time to arm themselves due to that training. They have a powerful build. Their physical stature of the Goliath lets them function in many ways if they were one size category larger. So in a lot of and in these 4 rules, it will show examples of that. Whenever a Goliath is subject to a size modifier or a special size modifier for an opposed check, such as during grapple checks, bull rush attempts, which is tackling, and trip attempts, a Goliath is treated as one size category larger if doing so is advantageous to him. A Goliath is also considered to be one size larger when determining whether a creature's special attack based on size, such as an improved grab or being swallowed whole, can affect him. A Goliath can use weapons designed for creatures one size larger without penalty. However, the space and reach remains those of a creature of his actual size, so he doesn't have extra long arm length. And the benefits of the racial trait stack with the effects of powers, abilities, and spells that change the subject's size category, such as the Enlarge Reduce spell. So if you were to enlarge a Goliath, their weaponry they're going to be able to use even bigger weaponry than any other species of that typical size. They seem to have very compact muscle. They are very athletic. They're going to have a lot of boosts to their climbing ability, such as this. For their mountain movement, Goliaths can make standing long jumps and high jumps as if they were running long jumps and high jumps, which gives them usually about a foot or 2 of extra reach. That can be very helpful, and they will typically be a lot more agile. And a Goliath can engage in accelerated climbing, that is, climbing at half speed as a move action, without taking the -5 penalty on a limb check. So typically, it's an ability check when they are climbing. For a typical species, they would roll and they would get a -5 to their goal. So they have a significant risk of falling. Well, Goliaths don't have that penalty, and they are natural climbers. And they are acclimated. Goliaths are automatically acclimated to life at high altitude. They don't take penalties for altitude, described in the mountain travel section in page 90 of the Dungeon Master's Guide. And unlike other deserts in the mountains, Goliaths don't lose their acclimation to high altitude even if they spend a long time at lower elevation. and they have a +2 bonus to sense motive checks, so they are usually very insightful to other people's personality. They also have a level adjustment +1, so they do learn a little bit slower than that. So from 3.5, we know that they are strong. They are athletically gifted, being able to climb faster, jump higher, jump farther, and they are also very strong, being able to pick up larger weights. For instance, since they are considered a larger size, they're able to carry more. They're able to basically pick up things as if they were one size category larger. They are very strong. Even with the +4 strength bonus, they're going to be one of the stronger races out there. As we move on to 4th edition, they gain 2 strength and 2 constitution. Not nearly as good as the Goliath from 3.5, but they don't have any negative stats, so their dexterity is unaffected. And typically, that dexterity minus only applies to 3.5 Goliaths, and any other Goliath that is nearby them are typically unaffected by are going to be less clumsy. Their speed is 30 feet. They get +1 on will rolls, so typically they have strong wills. It's harder to mind control them. It's harder to make them do stuff, which is kind of accurate to their players' abilities before. They make athletic checks to climb or jump, and whenever they make a roll to do an athletics jump or to climb or jump, they roll their check twice and then take the higher roll. So they can use either result. So this technically gives them advantage unless they're actually holding themselves back. They get the choice there. And they gain the ability as their species ability of stone endurance, which means that they can have resistance 5 to all damage until the end of their next turn, meaning that they can ignore 5 hit points of damage. For instance, if you shot an arrow at them, they would reduce 5 hit points of damage, and it could actually nullify that. But they can only do that round once per turn. I'm not entirely certain on 4th edition, still learning that. When they reach level 11th, that resistance gets bumped up to 10, so they're able to resist 10 hit points of damage. And at level 21, they gain 15 resistance to all damage until the end of their next turn. So, knowing this, these Goliaths are going to be a lot more durable. They're going to be able to tank hits more, and they are going to be much harder to kill through more physical means. They don't seem to have nearly as much ability to survive, say, let's see, what would be a good example? Disease. Well, they have a higher constitution, and for poison would probably do pretty well, especially the older poisons. Now, as we move on to 5th edition, 2014, in Volo's Guide, they gained 2 strength and got 1 charisma, so it's even worse than before, but they have other abilities to help counteract that. They move at 30 feet. Let's see, their age range is usually around humans, so this states that basically Goliaths will live as long as a human will live, and using that, they're probably going to affect their birth rates to be at least similar to human beings. Let's see. They gain proficiency in athletics, so they're able to use their athletic ability more often for climbing, swimming, grappling, and so on. They gain a reaction to damage where they can roll a d12 and add their constitution modifier and reduce by that amount of damage. So they could, let's see, an average Goliath would have 11, so it would just be 1d12 reduce. That is significantly better, but it varies, so it's not nearly as useful. That it makes the ability a lot less reliable. You could honestly roll 1, and then unless your constitution modifier is high enough, that's not going to affect much. 1 hit point of damage might save you in very specific situations, but if it is But if you're taking massive damage, the Goliath is probably not going to survive very well. Let's see. And they can do that once per long rest. So after using that ability, they have to sleep to be able to use it again. They are considered one size category larger for carrying, push, drag, and lift. So they are, again, described as a lot stronger than your typical. They are considered a lot stronger compared to your typical species. They are also mountain-born, so they are adapted to cold climates, meaning that they don't have to make the same survival checks that other animals do to survive their harsher environments in cold climates. So they are able to survive the tundra a lot easier. They are able to survive up in their mountain homes, and they are automatically acclimated to altitudes above 20,000 feet. So it means that they don't take penalties on travel time, and they are going to be, well, instantly acclimated. Your Goliaths are going to be, Goliaths seem to be natural athletes at the least. Which, funny enough, is what their proficiency athletics gives them. Now, in Icewind Dale, the stat block got printed again with most of the same abilities as before. And by that, I mean all of them except for one, which is the Mountain-born. The Mountain-born made them a lot more stronger. By that, I mean it changes from being adapted to cold climates to be resistant to cold damage, meaning that they are now taking half damage from any cold type attacks. So if you were to throw an ice storm at them, these Goliaths are going to survive a lot easier. But other than that, there is no other change from Icewind Dale. In Mordenkainen's Presents Monsters of the Multiverse, their ability scores got changed to add 2 to one ability score and 1 to a single other, or add one ability score 3 times to your ability score. So that gives them a lot more variety, and you could see Goliaths that are significantly smarter, even a lot more dexterous due to the wording of the ruling. They gain proficiency at athletics. They carry one size large. They are considered one size larger for carrying, push, drag, and lift. Resistance to cold damage, and they are acclimated about 20,000 feet. They gain stone endurance, which they can use which is their nullifying damage, 1d12 plus their Constitution modifier, and they are able to use that ability now equal to their proficiency bonus. So that makes a baseline of 2 to a maximum of 6 times. That is a lot better, but still the scoring varies and it's not as reliable as others. Now, as we move on to 5th edition 2024, this is where they have gained the most changes out of all of them. Ow, why is this hurting? Ow. Ow. Okay. Ow, 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 ow. Ooh, what the? Ugh. I don't have tattoos. Okay. Just a moment, I'll be right back. Side effect adds tattoos. Okay. I'm almost done with this. I will fix this later. Ow, ow, ow. Okay. I wonder if I... Oh, resistance to damage. Okay. Ooh. Ooh. Yeah, I'm gonna break that down again. Okay. Okay. So in 5th edition 2024, they have had a major overhaul, and Goliaths are very different now. Now, in previous editions' lore, it is stated that they are somewhat related to giants, but in this edition, they ramped that way up. So giants are now specific. Now that Goliaths are specifically related to giants, and they are gaining abilities from them. So I'm going to go over everything but the giant stuff, and I'll save that for last. So once a Goliath reaches reaches a character level of the 5th level, so once they reach level 5, they can change their size to large as a bonus action if you are in a big enough space. The transformation lasts for 10 minutes until you end it. No action required. For that duration, you have advantage on strength checks, and your speed increases by 10 feet. Once you use this trait, you can't use it again until you finish a long rest. They can cast a large on themselves. Okay, so Goliaths are now able to seemingly adjust their height once they reach a high enough level. They are now stronger. Heck, they're taking advantage on strength checks, so they're going to be brutally strong, and their size increases by 10 feet. What's their base speed? Their base speed is 35 feet. So they're going to be able to move 45 feet a turn. They are going to be so they are able to move really fast once they reach a high enough level. And because they they gain the powerful build, advantage on ability checks to end the grappled condition, and they can also count as one size larger when determining your carrying capacity. Okay, so went over 3 attributes, and so far they have been able to double their size. They are now really good at wrestling specifically, which makes sense in lore. If you've read the Races of Stone, their culture invites to grappling a lot. That's one of their games that they play. And yeah, they're typically stronger. The size change is throwing me just a little bit. That means that as of right now, 1 in every 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So 1 in every 6 Goliaths are able to change their size once they reach the high enough level, and they are able to. I think they become the Hulk. This is going to cause some problems for any other interacting species that somehow antagonize Goliaths. And I haven't even gone over the giant heritage yet, which allows them to have unique special abilities due to their heritage. Okay, for giant ancestry, they can use a chosen benefit a number of times equal to their proficiency bonus. So that means baseline of 2, maximum of 6, and they gain all expended uses when they finish a long rest. So if they are descended from a cloud giant, as a bonus action, they can magically teleport up to 30 feet to an unoccupied space they can see. Okay. Okay, the next one would be Fireburn for Fire Giant Ancestry. When they hit a target with an attack roll and deal damage to it, they can also deal 1d10 fire damage to that target. I mean, that's pretty good, but there are some other species I know of that actually do more damage. But still, as a Goliath with the ability to change sides, that's probably going to tip a lot of species over the edge. Frost Chill for a Frost Giant. When you hit a target with an attack roll and deal damage to it, you can also deal 1d6 cold damage to that target and reduce its speed by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. So, again, I've only gone over 3 abilities. Each Goliath of this variant would only be able to have one of them, and it would also have to do with their bloodline. So very similar to a sorcerer in that regard. This is going to help them hunt down prey hit a target with attack roll. If they hit a deer with that 1d6 cold damage, they're able to slow down that deer, and that's going to help them with their hunting. Hills Tumble for the hill giant. When you hit for a hill giant ancestry, when you hit a large or smaller creature with an attack roll and deal damage to it, you can give that target the prone condition, which basically means that they are able to knock down the opponent as once they hit them, and that you can use that a few times per day. That can be deceptively powerful. I'm not entirely sure how they would use it, but I bet they could be very inventive. Once I start the actual world building process, there's going to be a lot of emergent behavior. Okay. And Stone Endurance for Stone Giant. When you take damage, you can take a reaction to roll 1d12, add your Constitution modifier to the number rolled, and reduce the damage by that total. So, from all those previous stat looks from before, you recognize that this implies that most Goliaths are related to stone giants, which I guess is fine, and that's going to be a vast majority of them. They wouldn't be able to tell the difference between that one other than the ability to change size. And the last one is for Storm Giant Ancestry, called Storm's Thunder. When they take damage from a creature within 60 feet of them, they can take a reaction to deal 1d8 thunder damage to that creature. So, reminds me a lot of the Tiefling's Hellish Rebuke. We will go over them as soon as we get to humans, where they are basically able to be a lot more vindictive. It's going to help them against any, say, assassination attempts. They're going to be less challenged as they were before. Although compared to the Storm, there is also the Stone Giant, which is more defensive, and the Cloud Giant is more maneuvering. And other than that, that deals with a vast majority of the Goliath species. Now, this is something that most other Dungeons & Dragons players don't know about, unless you're coming from 3rd edition specifically, but Goliaths have a cousin species. They are called Feral Garguns. I'm just going to call them Garguns for short. They are a hybrid, specifically, of a Goliath and a giant. So what this means for genetics is that this creates a few rules that are going to have to be implemented. One, due to the variant with giant ancestry, Goliaths are going to. So once they spawn, the variants are going to be distributed evenly. So once they're distributed evenly, all of those specific giant ancestries are going to be mixed in, even though they don't have any ancestry there. However, if a giant is going to have intercourse with a Goliath, they're going to create a Feral Gargun. And since a Feral Gargun is specifically related to a Goliath, when a Goliath or a Gargun intermix, it would become a 50-50 chance of it becoming a Goliath or a Feral Gargun. Now, due to that, it means that once a Goliath is related to why am I stuttering? Oh yeah, the pain. Okay. Say a Cloud Giant made a Feral Gargun with a Goliath. That Feral Gargun now has the Cloud Giant gene, which is mixed in with them. When the Goliath is going to have kids with it, that means any of that variant is going to be specifically made for the Cloud Giant. So due to their ancestry, Goliaths are going to be able to create clans from that. To balance that out is going to be the closest relative. If there, say, is a Goliath with a Fire Giant ancestry, and then a Hill Giant ancestry comes in as a parent, the parent ancestry takes effect rather than the grandparent. So they take precedence. So giants could probably make some form of extinction event of a specific variant due to eugenics. Great, it's eugenics. Yeah, I don't want to include eugenics. This is fantasy. Well, I have to account for evil, so may as well count that as well. Oh boy. Okay. Let's go over what a Feral Gargun is. A Feral Gargun gains 4 strength, 2 dexterity, and 4 constitution. That means that they are usually equal in strength to a Goliath, a little bit healthier than a Goliath, and they are significantly more dexterous compared to your 3.5 Goliath. They are strong, tough, and agile, but they are not as smart or as personal as their Goliath kindred. Reflected in those stats, they lose 2 intelligence and they lose 2 charisma. So they're not going to be as smart, and they're not going to be as friendly. They're not going to be able to make social relationships outside of more Gargan areas. They can move at a speed of 30 feet. They gain dark vision of 60 feet. However, it is black and white only. So that's going to help them. Their night vision, they're going to be able to hunt in the dark easier. This ability, the dark vision does work fine with no light at all. So take that what you will. They have the powerful build. That allows them to function in many ways if they were one size category larger, such as when they are subject to a size modifier or a special size modifier for an opposed check, such as during grapple checks, bull rush attempts, and trip attempts. A Feral Gargun is treated as one size larger if doing so is advantageous to him. A Feral Gargun is also considered to be one size larger when determining whether a creature's special attack based on size, such as improved grab or swallow whole, can affect him. A Feral Gargun can use weapons designed for a creature one size larger without penalty. However, the space and reach remain those of the creature of its actual size. This benefits of this racial trait stack with effects of powers, abilities, and spells that change the subject's size category. They also have racial hit dice. They gain 2 levels of monstrous humanoid innately, which provides 2d8 hit dice base and a base attack bonus of +2. So they're able to hit a little bit easier compared, and they are going to have more hit points. And a base saving throw bonuses of +0 fortitude, reflex of +3, and a will of +3. And due to their racial skills, and since they have monstrous humanoid levels, they gain skill points equal to 5 times 2 plus their intelligence modifier. And their skills that they can use to gain from that are climb, hide, jump, listen, search, spot, and survival. And as a racial, and due to the monstrous humanoid levels, that allows them to gain 1 feat. They also have mountain movement. They can make standing long jumps and high jumps as if they were running long jumps and high jumps. Pardon. I haven't drunken anything yet. How many side effects did I make on this? I'm not a very good magic item crafter. I will. I need to practice somehow. Maybe I'll do testing with other people. Wait, no, is that evil? I make them sign a waiver. Okay. Let's see. They have mountain movement. They can make standing long jumps, high jumps as if they were running long jumps and high jumps. That gives them a couple extra feet on inches. They can engage in accelerated climbing, which is climbing at half speed as a move action without taking the -5 penalty on the climb check. They're acclimated, which means they're automatically acclimated to life at high altitude, and they don't take penalties for altitude. And unlike other denizens of the mountains, Feral Garguns don't lose their acclimation to high altitude even if they spend months or years at lower elevations. They gain cold resistance to cold 5, so they ignore the first 5 points of cold damage dealt by an attack, whether mundane or magical. So, again, the cold doesn't bother them anyway. Okay. They gain +2 to their natural armor class due to their natural armor. They gain a weapon and armor proficiency due to them being a monstrous humanoid. They are proficient with all simple weapons, just like the Goliaths from before. But they have no proficiency with armor or shield. Natural attack. A Feral Gargun has 2 claw attacks, each dealing 1d6 points of damage. That's very good. That's a natural weapon that they can use to help protect themselves. Let's see. Feral Gargun. That's just their attack tactics. Goliath blood. For all effects related to race, a Feral Gargun is considered a Goliath. So, say if there is a magical detection, a Feral Gargun is considered indistinguishable from a Goliath. That's going to affect how wizards might treat them and classify them, especially in the world setting, due to some species having semi-magical auras that will reflect other species. A good example of that would be specifically goblins. Once we get to them, I'll have some good examples. Let's see. Feral Garguns, for example, are vulnerable to special effects that affects Goliath, as their Goliath ancestors are, and they can use magic items only usable by Goliaths. They also have a level adjustment +2. Okay. I'm going to go fight a giant real quick. I'll be right back. Prestidigitation. Prestidigitation. Okay. And I'm back. I am going to put this sword away. I always forget. Where did I put that sheath? There you are. Put you right there. There we go. So, if my neighbors ever ask where their giant neighbor went, don't say anything. Okay? I don't want the cops coming. Now, for Feral Garguns are exceptionally similar to 3.5 race of the Goliath. They, however, have the +2 level adjustment, so they are going to be typically gaining class levels a lot slower, and that's going to affect their learning curve. Due to that, though, since they are only appearing in 3.5, all Feral Garguns are going to have that similar stat block, but there is a variant of that. So there are 2 variants of it, and basically one of them doesn't have the level adjustment, and this one does. The one without a level adjustment basically gives them a few weaker features. For instance, Feral Garguns will sacrifice a few hit dice, therefore a base attack bonus, feat, and skill point accrual, in exchange for bonuses to strength and constitution, the powerful build ability, and natural armor. Because of these bonuses, a high-level Feral Gargun Barbarian or Ranger is a formidable foe. Let's see. They also have a Feral Gargun monster class, which basically they are going to be a little bit weaker they are going to be a little bit weaker, but they can level up into but they can level up to be equal to their full level 2 adjusted cousins. However, it doesn't specify that it has the -2 level penalty. So far, these are going to probably be the runt of the litter that can be very strong because they're able to level up faster. They can be relatively quick learning. Their starting ability score adjustments get changed from the ones from before to +2 strength, -2 intelligence, and -2 charisma. So yeah, they are relatively really weak. Feral Garguns are strong, but they are uncultured and not very smart. Speed is 30 feet. They still keep their dark vision of 60 feet. They are considered a Goliath for all spell-like abilities, and for mountain movement, they're able to climb at the same speeds as the Goliath from before. Typically, Typically, the Feral Gargun has 4 levels of monster classes that they can level up in, and once they have leveled up in those classes, they don't necessarily need to, but you could have a Feral Gargun that doesn't take monstrous levels, and they do have those detriments put upon them. So, what do we know about Goliaths? Goliaths are typically from very cold areas. They are going to be related to giants in some way. So once we get around giants, they're going to be affected by the placement of Goliaths. Goliaths are going to be natural athletes. They're strong. They apparently are relatively friendly. They might not be as clumsy, but compared to a vast majority of the variants, Goliaths are not going to have many minor setbacks. Goliaths, throughout Dungeons and Dragons history, have been considered very strong. I'm not drinking. It's water. Okay. That's good. So, where are we going to put Goliaths? Goliaths aren't real. Now, I know that sounds bad, don't you do it. Goliaths are a D&D specific fantasy species. They are not related to anything in mythology. They are not related to folklore in any way. It's very much an original Dungeons and Dragons race. However, their name isn't original. So, due to the fact that they barely exist anywhere in the real world, I'm going to use their name, their etymological origins. And for that, I'm going to do a little bit of history. Let's see. There you are. Israel. So, Goliath came from the Middle East and came the biblical story of David and Goliath. Due to the fact that Goliaths barely exist in any place, they are going to be placed in what is now modern day Israel. Now, they are also, since they are well adjusted to a specific climate. Let's see. Too short. That's right. So, since Goliaths are going to be living in Israel, that's a desert region. Goliaths are not going to like the desert region, but they are going to have some origins there for some reason or another. I'm going to put you right on that capital. And since Goliaths are going to be adapted to their mountainous environment, they are going to have free range over the specific Himalayan mountains. Due to their natural ability to climb, they're typical frost resistant. This area right here is going to be filled with the Goliath species. Since they don't have nearly as many negatives as many other species do, they're probably going to dominate this region. There we go. Putting that right there. Stickers. Now, to signify that the Goliaths are living here, I'm going to put number 3 on them. Funny enough, this is the third lecture series on the species. Let's see. Goliaths, although they are initially going to be spawned here, using gamer lingo here, they're probably going to spread out all over the Himalayan mountains and up towards Russia, towards those colder climates. They are going to be natural athletes. Their armies are going to be very strong. However, they do seem to prefer the nomadic lifestyle, which is actually surprisingly typical for a lot of mountainous cultures. The Goliaths are going to be are going to be a force to be reckoned with. They are going to be keeping this strait right here out of bounds for any of these Egyptian species. The only way they're going to be able to come up is through Spain, so that's going to be a significant downgrade for them. Since all these species are going to have the same population baseline, Goliaths are probably going to shoot up as humans do, due to the fact that humans are, since they have the same human lifespan, I'm going to be using their population in scale as well. However, due to their mountainous climate and their more hostile regions, their mortality rate is going to be a lot higher. Goliaths are going to be, or more than likely going to move from here to up here, I'm presuming in this area, due to the fact that and also up here, due to the fact that the Himalayas are right there, and they're going to be naturally adjusted to that. However, noting that there are a few Goliaths that are not adjusted to the that are not naturally adjusted to the cold climate. For instance, variant from 5th edition 2024 doesn't have the innate cold resistance, so they are probably not going to survive there. So that's going to become part of their mortality rate, or else they're going to have to exile themselves into these lower areas so that their children can survive. Feral Garguns, however, are not going to be placed on here due to the fact that they are a subspecies of a Goliath and a giant. They are going to be a hybrid species, and they're not going to be placed on here. Anywhere that these Goliaths are going to show up, giants are also going to be at least somewhere around here. There's going to be an area, as soon as we're mapping out all of these species related to giants, it will become a lot more clear where they are at. And with that, I believe that is the end of everything. Yes, like, comment, and subscribe. I'm not forgetting like last time. You know, you could try to remove curse on this. Why do I pay you? Yes, because you're my editor. So, with that, if you have any questions, please comment below. I would love to see your thoughts. If I made any mistakes, please try to correct me. I will enjoy that immensely. And have a fantastic day. I really need to go to a cleric that will cast a spell magic. They're the same spell. Whatever.